Hi Leo, welcome to your week ahead horoscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. A quick note about my readings. They are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Leo, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to give you a clearer, more complete picture of how these are going to speak to you and how they how I resonate with you as a reader. So quick note, before we start, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you all on your path to your highest vibrational good. So your quick reading, quick announcement, I have an intuition activation webinar on the 20th of March, so you're going to be seeing this for a while now. If you would like to be a part of this, if you want to come along, have a great time with lots of like-minded people, and also grab a couple of goodies as well, hit the link in the description box below and yeah, sign up for that. So with that, your key to the week this week is the Death card. Endings, culminations and completions, right? So whenever the Death card shows up, this is usually where something is coming to an end. Now, the other thing with the Death card as well, very often it presents you with an opportunity to bring something to an end in a conscious manner. And when you do, you avoid the Tower card. Sometimes the Death card comes up as a warning that says, you know that this needs to end. You know that you need to stop doing this. You know that you need to end this connection, this relationship, this job, this like whatever it is. And when this card shows up, it's kind of like a warning to say, look, you already know what's on its way out. Do something about it now so that you can avoid the challenge that will inevitably come up with it at a later date. For your actions and options this week, you have the Knight of Wands. So this week, my dear Leos, you may be feeling a bit more like yourself than you have in a while, which is great. This is going to see you really delving into your passions. This is going to see you really observing this week what you're, not only what you're passionate about, but also what your own quirks, taboos, kinks, all of that kind of stuff. This week you're going to really be observing yourself, what your passions are, what is it that you're motivated by. And this week I really do advise that you check in with yourself on that level. What is it that actually motivates you? What is it that actually gets you out of bed? You might think that it's one thing, but through some deeper introspection this week, you might discover that it is something else. For a lot of you, this is a week where you feel the need to do something, where you feel like that emotive kind of urge within. And it's asking you to do something with that energy because it's seeking expression through you this week. For your communications and conversations, you have the Five of Swords. So this is not an easy card for communication because it already on its own represents fraught communication. But what this suggests to me is an argument, a challenge, an issue that you have with somebody in your life. Are you ready to put this down now? Are you ready to bury the hatchet? This is what you're being asked. This week, I do feel like you're going to be having, you may be treading old ground. You might be, you know, for some of you, you may literally be speaking to a young person that's maybe having a challenging time. For some of you, this is literally going to be a person that you either have had an argument with, somebody that you've had a challenge with, and it's like whatever this issue is, it's kind of like a thorn in the side of the relationship. This week, however, you've got the Death card, right? That's the end or the completion of something. The Five of Swords, you have the chance to talk it out or to bury the hatchet. This week, it really is going to be about what you know, how you perceive you're able to move forward. For those of you that work for somebody else, maybe a challenge that you've had with a colleague or a work partner of some sort, maybe even with a boss, you know, maybe a run-in that you've had or a difference of opinions. This week, you have the ability to squash it, but it is going to have to be your choice. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to swallow your words or you have to apologize, but you could just be in that space where you say, you know what, we agree to disagree and we move beyond it. For those of you that work for yourselves, entrepreneurs, business owners, etc., very similar energy, but this is going to be somebody that you consider a peer, somebody that maybe at one point you considered a friend. And you know, you guys had challenges, maybe you had words, maybe you had a falling out of some sort. There's a chance to rectify something this week, and it's only, like, don't get me wrong, because it comes through the guise of the Five of Swords, so it's not going to be easy, but it is definitely going to be worth it. For those of you that are retired or no longer working for any reason, again, same energy. However, it kind of feels like this is something that you're being brought into. So it might not necessarily be your issue, but you are being brought on as a resource, maybe as a different perspective, as a sounding board. You know, one of the things that I believe in the modern era that we've lost, like it used to be that your grandparents would move in with you, you know, in their sort of later years, in the winter of their lives, and that added new perspective. It gave the parents a moment of having a breather, and it also gave, you know, new knowledge, new perspectives to the young people of the family, the children, but also to the parents, you know, that may have been struggling with something. This week you could be called upon in that regard. So whether it's as a grandparent, whether it's as a, you know, a family friend, like there's a sense here that you're not necessarily even being brought into drama, but you are being asked for some sort of support that you may be offering. And I'll be honest, again, you know, it looks like the communication or the conversations that are had could get very heated, but this is something that really does need to be done, and it really does need to be approached. For your money and materials, you have the 10 of Swords. So this is not a great week for finance, I'm sorry to say. Especially if you have like a big purchase planned, you know, if you're planning to buy a holiday, put money down on a holiday this week, the 10 of Swords is an absolute no. And I do have to say, I'm really sorry to say this, but one thing that I do need to make you aware of, the 10 of Swords coupled with the Death card is one of the few combinations that actually mean physical death, and may spell that out. Now, this is something that you know, a lot of people come back to me and they say like, oh, you know, when you see death, you're so certain and you're always right. And I can assure you, this is not something that I revel in. It really isn't. I wish I was wrong. But when I see certain combinations, I've been doing this work long enough to know what I see in my cards, and this is one of the true combinations of actual physical death. Now, the thing that I can tell you is this will be somebody at a distance to you, so it will be maybe outer extended family or friend of, or, you know, friend of family. It doesn't appear to be internal, which is, you know, not that that makes it any better, but you know, that's the easiest or lightest part of it that I can give you. But do expect to hear of this week. And you know what, funnily enough, because there's the Knight of Wands there as well, I wonder if we're going to see the death of a sports personality this week. It's very possible. Now, for your physical health and vitality, this is going to be your back, specifically your entire spine and even your ribs, that whole general area you really want to look after this week. If you can have, I mean, I don't know how possible it is where you are in the world, not here in the UK for certain, but if you can have adjustments by a chiropractor or an even, you know, acupuncture or anything like that, this would be a good week to get it. And then for your home and environment, again, there are challenges this week. I'm sorry to say there are, but it looks like you make your way through them. And the beauty of the 10 of Swords is that that's the end of it, right? So this the end of the challenges to your finances. This is the last week that you will have them. For your love and relations, you have the 7 of Pentacles, right? So you are working very hard on the relationship. You know, this is you coming through a lot when it comes to the connections that you have. For those of you that are married or in partnerships, you have been coming through challenges, through difficult times. And this, you know, the funny thing is, this is not necessarily challenges in the relationship. It's stresses and strains that the relationship is having to bear, which, you know, that's quite an interesting you know, concept or idea. Now, for those of you that are single, this does not really look like a week that's suited for love, I have to say. The other thing with the 7 of Pentacles as well, you're much more focused on all the other things that are being demanded of you. Your, you know, your work is definitely taking front and center and stage, and also your familial ties appear to be calling you in as well. So those things are, you know, very much to the fore than anything else right now. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a conscious and have a conscious and gentle with yourself week. Take care, and I'll see you soon.